So my instructions for the talk today were simple: to tell my story. And the following is my story of starting and growing a business and the lessons that I learned along the way. I believe entrepreneurs are made, but I don't know the recipe, although I think I know some of the ingredients. For me, these ingredients came in the form of lessons and experience. Well, first, a little bit about my background. I'm a Milwaukee native. I grew up in Brookfield. I graduated from UWM with a business degree and an MIS major. Out of college, I went to work for Woolworths as a programmer, then for M&I Data Services, now Medivante, before starting my own company. My first message is be a lifelong learner. Looking back, you realize that there was years of preparation, observation, and practice. At the time, I just did not know for what. For me, there were dry runs, writing code, selling services, such as writing programs for bowling leagues and then selling those services. There was moonlighting for my father's accounting firm, Tushaus and Company, and the Medical College of Wisconsin. Each of these were learning opportunities. My next message is look for inspiration and motivation. Don't wait for it to find you. Two influential figures that stand out for me are my father, Taushaus, and Bill Gates. One of my favorite quotes from Mark Twain is, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years." I had a similar experience. I learned a lot from my dad about business, about hard work, and I knew I wanted to build a company that someday did not need me. When I started following Bill Gates, he was years away from the success and fortune that he's famous for today. Many years ago, I had met Bill Gates at a CEO roundtable in Milwaukee. He was introducing himself to each participant. The day before, I was quoted in the newspaper as supporting Microsoft in their case against the government. As he met me, he thanked me for that support. His ability to remember this as he met me is something that had a lasting impression on me. Study your mentors. Inspiration is there if you look for it. Leadership requires courage. I had a lot of advice, support, encouragement, and I had plenty of people telling me to go for it. Except the one going for it was me, not them. But eventually I did have the courage to go for it. It may have also helped that I was a bit naive at the time. You don't need all the answers. At the time I started my business, I was 29 years old. I had been working for a number of years in business, but I knew I still had a lot to learn, and I still do. I quit a perfectly good job that I enjoyed, yet I did have the comfort that my wife had a good job, and we were able to live off of her income. So I developed a business plan in the summer of 1993. The exercise of developing the business plan was valuable for me, more so than the end product. If you wait for the perfect time, or until you have all the answers, you'll wait forever. Understand finance. Fortunately, at this point in my life, I had developed good financial discipline, thanks to my parents. I know now this made a difference running a business. My wife and I had set aside $50,000. In addition to our original investment, we needed working capital. So I applied for a $50,000 line of credit with several banks, and then went shopping or begging for money with my business plan. Several banks turned me down or didn't even take a meeting. I remember sitting in the waiting rooms only to be politely told no, and thinking they didn't even read my business plan. Finally, a very intelligent and insightful banker, Ed Bender, believed in me. When I met with him, I remember sitting at his desk and seeing the business plan highlighted and marked up and thinking, oh crap, someone actually read my business plan and I might need to answer some questions. I received a line of credit. Finances were tight in those early years. For the first 18 months, I did not take a salary. It's all relative, though. That $50,000 line of credit became $2.5 million today. Although our business has no debt today, it is good to have the credit for when you do need it. The financial risks are real, and it's important to manage them. In business, you must manage risk, not avoid it. On December 6, 1993, I never forget how I felt that first day. Although I had the moral and financial support of my wife and the moral support of family and friends, there I was, just me, a computer and a phone. I felt alone, I was in business, I was excited, but I was scared. Some years ago, while at a bachelor party in a casino, a friend commented, "Gregg's not gambling." Another friend responded, "Gregg gambles bigger money every day in business." And I guess that's true. In business, you take risks, you make bets, and you expect that they'll pay off. In business, there are risks, so get used to it. Do not underestimate the sacrifices. There were many sacrifices building the business. For me, starting at 5 a.m., working till 10 most days. Years later, my wife joined the business. The sacrifices were felt by my family. In particular, I remember my wife and I spending many weekends and weeknights with our daughter playing in the office while we work. My daughter's 15 now, but I still have those toys in my desk as a reminder of those days. The saying, "No pain, no gain," is true for business too. Follow your passion, and working harder is easier. There's no substitute for hard work, at least that I've found. 3 months in, we began hiring employees. We were growing, we had a can-do attitude, and we had passion. We worked hard and we had fun. In the early years, I remember setting up our training room with computer games and playing Duke Nukem after hours and on weekends with the other employees. It was a great release from the hard work. We understood that when our wives called the office, we were all to be quiet, while they told their wives that they were working late again. Without passion, work can be hard work. People are important. The people part is difficult. The people part is hard work. Computers don't have feelings, opinions, and families, and it's necessary to make difficult choices that impact people's lives. I remember our first company picnic and feeling a heavy burden as I thought about the responsibility. We have great people, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished together. Don't believe the myths. I went from having one boss to having 1,000 bosses in 17 years. If it was easy, everyone would do it. In 2000, we found ourselves on the Inc. 500. At the Inc. 500 conference that year, the keynote speaker told us, "A high school basketball player has a better chance of playing in the NBA than an entrepreneur appearing on the Inc. 500. Success is difficult. Be ready." Nothing can take the place of persistence. I'm not sure if you learned perseverance, but I had it early. At the age of 14, I started caddying. My first 2 rounds were miserable. I was small for my age, the bags were heavy, the sun was hot, and I was a bad caddy. We received grades from the golfer for each round on a 6-point scale. I earned a -1 for my first 2 rounds. I was so bad the caddy master took me out for training a second time. I'm not sure why, but I stayed with it. The next year I was the #1 caddy. Not simply because I was good, but more importantly, I was persistent. I went out every day. I skipped the family summer vacation to pursue my goal. This has been a consistent story in my life. Here's a hiring tip. When hiring your young workers with no experience, look for the #1 caddies. Today, Tushaus Computer Services is nearly a $30 million business with 130 employees in 4 locations. I have been fortunate. I understand the lucky perception, but luck had little to do with it. No one can truly understand what I've been through, nor can I truly appreciate the journey of others. It has taught me to be careful with my opinions and criticism of others. So to recap, here are my lessons. Be a lifelong learner. Look for inspiration. Leadership requires courage. You do not need to have all the answers. Understand finance. Manage, not avoid risk. Do not underestimate the sacrifices. Follow your passion, and working hard is easier. People are important. Don't believe the myths. If it was easy, everybody would do it, and nothing could take the place of persistence. So kind of in the spirit of lifelong learning, here's some of my favorite books. Business Strip Bare and Crush It are inspiring stories of entrepreneurship and passion. The Game Changer is an excellent book on innovation from A.J. Lafley, the former CEO of P&G. And Stumbling on Happiness, Freakonomics, Fooled by Randomness, and Outliners are great books on critical thinking. And my favorite book on mass collaboration in the internet age is Wikonomics. If you'd like this list, I'd be happy to email it to you. Here's my email and contact information, and I thank you for your attention.